Hi, I'm Bob Nagy, and I'm here today to teach you everything you're going to need to know about the new Olympus E510 digital SLR camera. Image stabilizer and image preview, two really great functions on the 510. Let's take a look at how to implement those and what they are. Well, I take my handy little cloth here that came with the camera and I'll wipe off the screen a little bit. You see that, get little finger smudges on there. Any kind of soft microfiber cloth will work for you. And I wouldn't worry too much about covering the screen, by the way, because there are plastic polishes these days. If you do get a little bit of a scratch on it, you can just buff it right out. So that sort of worrying about that is sort of part of the past. So now let's talk about those image stabilizer and the preview screen. Only Olympus has ever allowed users of a digital SLR to actually view on the back of the LCD over here. And I'm taking a direct feed out of here so we can take that directly to the DVD. But there we go. There it is right there. If I just pull the plug out, you'd see this on the back of the camera. In fact, let's take a look at the back of the camera. When I do this, right now we can see right through the camera. There's my hand over there. And basically, they're using a really high technology way of splitting the light between the sensor and a CCD sensor to bring it to the back screen, which is a beautiful 2.5 or 2.5 inch screen. So let's plug the cable back in and take a direct feed. How you turn the screen on, the two buttons are right next to each other, the ones we're talking about here. It's the little one here with the box and the two lines. So if you press that, it'll actually turn off the screen. Remember, you're using power to do this. So you really want to conserve battery power. Then you don't use that viewfinder. You look directly through the lens over here. But if you want to shoot over your head, hold the camera way up high, you need to use that viewfinder. You can certainly turn it on, and this is a great feature on here. So, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's take a look at directly with the direct feed, and you'll see that there is some information presented on the screen. If I press the info button, it'll change the amount of information you see between these different screens. There's a live histogram. Watch this. And we're going to teach you a little bit more about histogram later. But there we go with the information that you see as far as the darks to the lights from left to right. Look at that. Very useful. And it's giving us a whole bunch of information there. And that'll tell you if you've got a lot of space on the right, that means you're underexposed, which we sort of are over here. And I can dial it up and give us a little more exposure. But as we press these info screens, it's showing you some different information on the screen. Here we go, our focus point, our metering, and then as you press them, you get more and less. The center gradicle, as we call it, is visible all the time. The circle of the boxes, that's what you see if you're looking through a viewfinder generally. So you've got your shooting mode P, you've got your speed and f-stops up there, single shot autofocus, the metering mode, the white balance, custom white balance that we did, CF card, high quality with 41 images. And we press it again, we get the histogram. So we're cycling through these screens. Now, looking at the back of the camera again, I want to show you where the image stabilizer is. What's really nice about this, and you can see it says IS on it over here. If you press it, and let's take a look at what comes up on the screen, you're going to be able to select between off and two different image stabilizer modes. This is a stabilizer which works internally on the camera. It's not in the lens. I'm going to press the button again because if you don't make a decision in 10 seconds or so, it'll turn off. But I can go ahead and rotate the control dial up top or use the left and right on the four-way controller on the back, four-button controller. Off is no image stabilizer. IS1 is the standard image stabilizer. Horizontal and vertical planes are both stabilized. But if you wanted to destabilize the vertical plane from shaking and have horizontal movement blurry, you could use IS mode 2 for the look of movement if you want IS1. Now realize I'm going to select it by hitting the OK button. Now nothing's moving in this image, but were it moving, I'll shake the camera a little bit, it tends to stabilize the camera internally from body shake. This is really used to work against breathing and heartbeat movement of the camera while you're trying to be a human tripod and hold the camera very steady. And realize that this can buy you about an f-stop or one more click in the shutter speed, because you normally would only be able to handhold a camera barely steadily down to 1/60th, but with image stabilization on and being very rock solid, you could shoot at 1/30th, say with the ISO pumped up to a high number, and be able to shoot in a low natural light setting and still get a fairly sharp picture. So it gives you about one more click down on your ability to open up the shutter for a longer time because of the bodily movement you have, your heart's beating and your breathing. So it really does buy you a little bit of an ability to shoot in a lower light situation, which really is a big plus. Now the great thing about having it in the camera is, I have other cameras that don't have it internally. You've got to buy a lens with a stabilizer in it, and maybe only one of my particular brand of lenses for another camera has a stabilizer in it. All my other lenses don't have stabilization. Every lens that you put on this camera will have stabilization because the stabilization is happening internal to the camera. So it really buys you a whole lot of, especially if you're using a zoom and you're trying to zoom in, you need a little bit of stability. Believe me, it's not going to allow you to take a picture out of a moving vehicle at 85 miles an hour while laughing. It's not going to happen. But for that little bit of extra added stabilization from body movement, that's where it really comes in handy. So there you go, how to turn on the viewfinder in the back, see through the camera, save batteries by turning it off, and how to kick on that image stabilization. And there really is no degradation by having it in mode 1, but if you're on a tripod and you're not going to use it all, I turn it off. So there you go, those two features, image stabilization and the see through the LCD viewfinder while taking the pictures.